Okay, we are going to do skills check. Let me minimize that recorder and go to full screen. We're going to look at skills check 1.1. Given the functions f of x equals square root of quantity x plus 4 and g of x equals x squared minus x, find the value of each expression below. A says f of 5. If you look at this f of x notation there, the x is replaced with a 5 in the notation. So wherever I see an x, I'm going to replace that with a 5. I'm going to plug in 5 for x. So let me show my work here. F of 5, I replaced my x with 5 equals square root. I have an x underneath. Let's replace that with 5 plus 4. Sorry. Okay, so we have f of 5. Let's simplify what is underneath the radical. 5 plus 4, well, that's 9. So now I have f of 5 equals square root of 9. I'm almost done. I just have to calculate the square root of 9, which I know is 3. If you want to take this to the next level in math, square rooting a number always comes out plus or minus, because I know 3 squared is 9, but I also know that negative 3 squared is 9, because when I say negative 3 squared, I'm really doing negative 3 times negative 3. So I just found that f of 5 equals plus or minus 3. All right, let's move on to part B. I'm going to erase this. Maybe I'll try again. All right, B. This one was a little more challenging. Same concept. You have g of negative 1. If you look at this notation, g of x, and if you look here, g of negative 1, the negative 1 went in the spot of the x. So I'm going to replace all my x's with negative 1's. G of negative 1 equals, here's an x. Right up here, there's an x. So I'm going to put negative 1 there. Be careful here. When I'm doing x squared, that means I'm doing negative 1 squared. And whenever I plug in negative 1 for x, I'm going to put it in parentheses, because I want to square negative 1, which means negative 1 times negative 1. And your calculator, in computing that, if you use a calculator, needs to see it in parentheses. Minus, once again, I'm going to put my negative 1 in parentheses for x. All right, g of negative 1 equals, well, I know negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. That's how I'm doing that negative 1 squared. Minusing a negative, that becomes adding a positive. That's our trick. So now we have 1 plus 1. G of negative 1 equals 1 plus 1, well, that is 2. So here is my solution for part B. G of negative 1 equals 2. The most challenging one on here, as you know, they increased in difficulty, is part C. This one says you're solving for x if f of x equals 10. F of x equals 10 means I'm going to replace f of x in this equation with a 10. 10 is going to go in that whole spot. So I'm going to write 10 equals square root of x plus 4. I still need that x in the equation because I need to solve for x if f of x equals 10. So now I have 10 equals square root of x plus 4. This is the equation I'm solving. I see a square root. That is like a grouping. That is like parentheses. And when we're solving, we need to undo. To undo a square root, what I need to do is I'm going to square that. Squaring cancels a square root. Important to know that. So this will cancel, this square here will cancel that square root. But I put a square on one side, so I also need to do it on the other side. All right, let's work left to right. What is 10 squared? Oh, it's 100. 10 times 10 is 100. Like I said, now this square and this root cancel. So I have x plus 4 remaining. What is underneath the root stays exactly the same. You're not squaring inside the root because the root canceled. That's what the square did. It just canceled the root. It did not affect anything inside of the root. Now I have an equation that's much simpler to solve. So I want to get x alone. It's x plus 4. Let's subtract 4. Subtract 4. I'm keeping my equations balanced by doing it on both sides. 96 equals x. It asks me to solve for x. Remember, I have 3 arrows now pointing to x. Do I have x alone? Yes. 96 equals x is my solution. I could check this by plugging it back in up here. 10 equals square root 96 plus x. So, oops, excuse me, 96 plus 4. 10 equals, well, 96 plus 4 is 100. Square root of 100 is 10. We just did our check that works correctly. And that is skills check 1.1. You need to do the problems on the bottom, on the backhand side. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the sheet, these are the problems you're going to do on the back of your skills check and turn back into Hennessy. Thanks.